I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, you say the
Roll
secretary.
call.
Miss Martin.
Here.
Mr. McHugh. Absent. Mayor Martin. He's absent. Miss Doherty. She's absent. Miss Faticante.
Here.
Mr. Leahy.
Here.
Mr. Leary.
Here.
4 present, 3 absent. And say there's a quorum to this meeting.
Quorum to begin the meeting.
Is she? Okay.
First order of business is special order of business. We have members from the Lowell High Girls Softball team. They won the Division North champions last week. We have members from the girls tennis team, members of the track team, and member of the girls crew. I'd ask Mr. Martin to come to the podium.
Thank you very much, Vice Mayor, Vice Chair, Mr. Leahy, who actually had called and requested that we come down and see. A lot of the kids are working or have gone away, but in any event, I'd like to start first with recognizing Coach O'Brien and the girls softball team. I mean, they run to the state championship again. I'm going to forward my cell phone bill to Jay Lang because he called every 5 minutes and he had a board meeting. And I don't normally have that many calls, Superintendent Bear, for checking the score for 12 innings, but it was a tough loss. But in any event, they had a great year. I want to congratulate Coach O'Brien, who was also named Globe All-Scholastic Coach of the Year. And he can recognize his players. Katie Hebert was Globe All-Scholastic and Herald All-Scholastic, and there were several other awards, but ask Coach O'Brien to come forward. Coach?
Thank you. Speaking for the girls, I'd like to thank you for inviting us here. And while I have the opportunity, I'd like to thank all of you who have been at the games throughout the tourney. That includes members of Central Administration, School Committee, our headmaster, our athletic director, and not only staff and students from LHS, but staff and students from out the whole system. I saw a lot of teachers from the middle school and elementary schools also out there. The girls really appreciate that, along with hundreds of fans from the city. The girls have become a pretty popular event. And that's about it. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, I should.
And each kid right here, just have them, okay?
Okay, let me introduce first of all my coaches. Will Dobie, who's a JV coach. Yeah. And the assistant varsity coach, the quiet one, Bill Hoey. And just quickly, I'll go through the girls. On the far left is third baseman Shelby Moran. Catcher Jillian Govea. Senior outfielder, and we'll miss her, Kim Kelly. Sophomore Emily Nangle. Sophomore Hillary Millett. I'm coming up with these years so you can say that you can plan on us being back here next year too. Junior Erin Griffin. Senior Jackie Graham. Junior Katie Sargent. Junior Chrissy Keegan on the far right. Freshman Kara Rogers. And freshman Katie Nangle.
I think it's interesting that we've had 2 girls' teams actually play in state semifinal games this year, which is really incredible when you think about getting that far and competing at the highest level Division I high school sports. And it's amazing that Kara Rogers, only a freshman, is on both of those teams. So it's a remarkable run, and Kara, next year we're going to have 2 state championship teams, okay? It's the only way to go. Move it up. But anyhow, there was a lot of fun, and they are a credit to the Lowell High School and the city of Lowell. The next coach I'd like to introduce is the boys track coach. This is the first year for Coach Dave Casey. For the boys track, he was named Coach of the Year in the Merrimack Valley Conference for Division I. They won the league dual meets with record of 3 wins and no losses. And there's nothing but a bright future. Dave also teaches in the Freshman Academy, which I think really is a great benefit to promoting the program. Coach Casey?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I'd just like to thank the committee for recognizing the job we did this year. I'd also like to thank Mr. Martin and Mr. Samaras. This year we had a difficult time practicing because we didn't have a track because of the renovation of the football field. But they got us bussed out to other tracks at the Voc and Tewksbury High, and that was very helpful. And it didn't deter the boys from winning the MVC title. They had a great year. We had 2 of our captains here, senior Matt Blazon. He was the Division I state champion in the 300 hurdles. And David Koulis, who was the best javelin thrower in the conference, but unfortunately he had an injury and didn't do as well towards the end of the year, but he had a great year, David Koulis. Also, one of my assistant coaches, he's been coaching track in Lowell for about 20 years. He does a great job with the distance program. It's Phil Meyer. I think that's about it. I'd just like to say thank you again.
Thank you.
I would like to add that both of the captains are going on to compete in college. Matt Blazon's going to the University of Massachusetts in Lowell, and actually was a kind of a late bloomer in not just track but in academics. He really, in the beginning of his senior year, decided that this is something he really wanted, and to go from really just being a strong competitive athlete to a state champion in the hurdles says a lot about Matt. And Dave Koulis, who's one of my interns in the athletic office, is going to WPI, major, I believe, engineering, Dave? Major in engineering, and he'll play football and continue to compete. Great kids, so I want to congratulate them. Thank you very much. The last 2 teams, the coaches are away, so I thought that I could recognize them for you, Mr. Vice Mayor. The first is the girls' tennis team. Jen Carey is away. She was voted Coach of the Year in the Merrimack Valley Conference Division II. They also were undefeated in Division II. I believe it was 9-0 in the MVC, and was 16-2 overall. They had a fabulous season. 2 of the players are here. Leah Friedman. Leah, want to stand up? Leah played second and third singles and had some great matches in Victoria Trull. Victoria, thank you. She played doubles most of the time, and I also want to personally thank the Trull family. Mr. and Mrs. Trull are here, and they have donated on several occasions the indoor tennis club in Tewksbury for our team to practice and compete. And as you know, we had so many rainy days. Set the record for athletics in the history of athletics in the United States for rainouts in my first year. But in any event, the Trulls were fabulous, and we can't thank them enough. And I'd like to recognize them. Could you stand up? Thank you very much. Yeah. The only difficult part about watching indoor tennis is you have glass, and so you can't hear anything. So it's like being at the Red Sox in the old 600 Club. You think you're watching a movie, but it really was a great benefit for our team because they got to practice when a lot of teams really were idle. The last student athlete I don't think is here. Amber Zapatka? She said she was going to be here, but she's not. She was working. Amber was the crew member that the committee, with their support, funded her trip to the Nationals in Cincinnati, Ohio. She finished 4th. She had a great season and will continue at the Air Force Academy prep. It's a prep school, and will compete there in another year. And on behalf of Coach Campbell and the crew parents, I want to thank you, but I don't believe she's here. So thank you very much. There's a great group of student athletes. I'm very proud of them, and thank you for the recognition.
Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for coming down and make your city and your parents very proud. Thank you.
Thanks, Regina, thanks.
Mike, thanks.
Ted, take care now.
We need a motion to accept the minutes.
Motion, Your Honor, to accept the minutes for the regular school committee of June 14th,
Okay.
seconded by,
Seconded by Mr. Leary. Do we need a roll? No. Okay. Any additions or deletions? No.
no,
So
Your
it's
Honor.
accepted. All say yay.
Aye.
Everybody say aye. I'll say no. Okay. Accepted. Let's see. We go to permission to enter.
Yes.
So now, Madam Superintendent?
Yes, thank you. Several contracts recommending the committee grant authorization to enter into with Signet Electronic for $24,000 to provide repair and service to the existing telephone intercom systems in various Lowell public schools. Funding to be provided by the school department's FY07 budget, facilities, contracted services. Donald Sullivan and Bruce Sullivan, $11,000 to provide for repair and service to various audio and visual equipment for the Lowell School Department FY07 local budget. Valley Service Incorporated, $268,623 to provide a 3-year contract to repair and maintain kitchen equipment in all cafeterias in Lowell. The contract price includes $12,000 per year for replacement parts as needed at dealer cost. To provide a 3-year contract to repair and maintain refrigerators, freezers, and milk coolers in all cafeterias in Lowell. This comes from the Food Services Revolving Account, fiscal year '07. Next contract with Aramac Uniform Services, $93,313. Again, a 3-year contract, and this is for cafeteria linen services. Same Food Services Revolving Account. Rich's Transportation Services, $91,800, providing a 3-year contract to transport government commodities from warehouses to various schools in Lowell. Food Services Revolving Account. And finally, Public Consulting Group Incorporated, $43,000 to manage, configure, and update training around the Easy IEP Special Education Software Program. Funding provided this by our FY07 Special Education Department budget.
Move approval, Your Honor.
All right, motion by Ms. Fattacani, second by Ms. Martin. Roll call.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McHugh, Mayor Martin, Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante,
Yes?
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary.
I'll go first, and then you can go.
Hustle up, please. Okay.
1, 2. 5 yeas, 2 absent, approved.
Next, we have, we don't have any memorials. Next, we'll go to unfinished business.
Yes, at the last school committee meeting last Wednesday, committee members asked for a little bit more information about the trip, the proposed trip to Madrid, Spain, for the next February school vacation. The information is provided here that it's a trip that's being sponsored by the Foreign Language Department at Lowell High School, coordinated by Department Member Phil Maya. And it is open to current Lowell High School students who are taking or have taken a foreign language.
Any discussion? Ms. Martin?
I'd just like to say a very quick thank you for pulling the information together so quickly. I appreciate it, and I'd move approval for this.
Okay. Motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Doherty. Roll call.
Ms. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. McHugh, Mayor Martin, Ms. Doherty,
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante.
Yes.
Mr. Leahy,
Yes.
Mr. Leary,
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent, approved.
Your Honor, may I? I had asked for something to be put under unfinished business, and I'm wondering why it's not here, and that is the superintendent's report of the incident that we talked about last week. Madam Superintendent, why is it not on the agenda?
I'm sorry, I thought that it was directed in the minutes. When I saw the minutes, it was to go to a joint meeting of the Discipline and Safety Committee, so I thought the report was to go straight there. And I knew that that there was the intention to schedule that meeting later tonight. So I didn't realize it needed to go on for this agenda. I thought it was to go straight to the subcommittee. My apologies for not understanding.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. There isn't anything under public participation, so we move to the motions. I have a motion myself, so if you don't mind, I'll read it up here. Or?
Go right ahead, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you. Motion by John Leahy that the Special Education Subcommittee convene for a meeting for the purpose of discussing the current policy with children that are released from special education services.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Would you like to speak from the chair, Your Honor?
Yeah, from up.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, if no one objects. Basically, what I'd like to do is convene a meeting with special ed. What I'm interested in is what are we doing with children after they're released from their IEPs? I feel that maybe we should be looking at some sort of transition period for these children. So I'd like to discuss that at the subcommittee meeting. So,
Okay.
all right. Do we vote on this or roll call?
This meeting,
Your Honor.
no, just, it can be just approved. Anyone?
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Doherty?
Thank you, Your Honor. I'd just like to comment through you to the superintendent. This is the second week in a row that we've had motions relating to special education, and we still have my outstanding motion from January, so I just would like to emphasize I really want to have a special education subcommittee meeting as soon as possible so that we can start to really look at some of these issues in depth. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Motion passes, motion.
Motion passes. We don't have anything under subcommittees.
Actually, correct, Your Honor. We did not have a transportation subcommittee this evening, but here's what we are trying to do. We're going to have a executive session afterwards, and what I think the body is going to try to do is have a, while we're preparing for negotiations, have a discipline, safety, and transportation subcommittee that will, and we will post that after we come to an agreement tonight. So
Okay.
we did not have a meeting tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to reports of the superintendent. Madam Superintendent?
Yes, I really have just two reports, and the first one is concerning the status of the new school building projects, the Morey School and the Sapatzera School. We had anticipated having more information than we do have tonight, but let me just ask Mr. Lang to report what we do have.
Thank you. I would just like to give a brief update on the status. I'd hope to have a written report prepared for you, but things have been moving pretty quickly through the process, and I will have one for the next meeting. To date, we have been working, both the school department and various city departments, with Flansburgh, the architect for the two schools, reviewing the draft documents that they have. We have had groups from the Lowell Public Schools go out to some of their recent construction projects to take a look at the school facilities that they've recently completed, take a look at materials, layouts, things of that sort. And we've also had a team from Flansburgh come to Lowell to take a look at some of our recent construction projects projects, just so that we're all on the same page as far as what type of building we're used to in Lowell, and also try to incorporate some design aspects that we found to be advantageous at some of their recently completed construction projects. So that is ongoing with Flansburgh. The next issue that we need to address is the contracting with an owner's project manager, the OPM, to represent the city and school department's interests in the construction of these projects. The process, there was an RFQ that was released. There were several firms that pulled applications. We had, I believe, 10 or 11 groups that submitted proposals. They were screened down to 4 finalists. 4 finalists did come in for interviews, and at that point, the committee did, it's a ranking system, so the group that received the highest score, the city and myself are actually in negotiations with now to try to come to terms on an agreement for them to represent us as the OPM. At this point, I would think it's too early to reveal terms of the negotiation. I would hope that it would be completed within a week's time or so. The general course of action is you do negotiate with that top ranking entity, and hopefully you can strike a contract. If for some reason you can't with the top entity, you move to entity number 2. But at this point, we're still negotiating with the top firm. Parallel to that, at the same time, we have submitted information to the Massachusetts School Building Authority because they need to actually approve the contract with the owner's project manager. They need to review their credentials and actually sign off with them to serve as our OPM if we do come to contract. So that is ongoing at the same time. And again, I'd hope that approval process would also conclude by the end of next week, at which time I'd issue a written report and get that to the school committee.
Madam Superintendent?
Yes, if I could also add, all of that is in preparation then for the next joint meeting of the City Council's School Building Subcommittee and the school committees, School Building Project Subcommittee, Facility Subcommittee, which will meet with the operators, the owner's project manager, as well as the architects before the project moves forward with confirmed details of design and plan. Committee members that were able to be at the last meeting made it very clear that the committee on both sides, the City Council and the school committee, want to weigh in to make sure that every conceivable economy is taken at the start of the project rather than trying to find savings afterwards. So as soon as we have all of that information and are ready with a report, we'll work with committee members to schedule that joint meeting.
Thank you. Anything else? We go to the list of eligible teachers?
Right. The next report is the list of eligible teachers at this time of year. We try to turn that around fairly frequently because this is the most active time of the year. I think you may have seen a report that I put in my last bulletin to staff that to date we've had almost nearly 1,000 applicants for teaching positions. We have posted 225 positions since December, and there have been some 45 long-term substitutes who've been appointed to permanent positions. Another 25 members of our staff have been accepted for voluntary transfer into new assignments, and we have hired close to 75 teachers new to the Lowell Public Schools for next year. So hiring is moving along at a very rapid pace. Principals and certainly Assistant Superintendent Duggan's office deserve a lot of credit for moving quickly and rapidly during a very, very busy time of year in schools to put us in the best position to hire teachers in an increasingly competitive job market. So I'm very pleased with the work that's underway, and this developing the list of eligible teachers and keeping it current and adding people to it as soon as they get their credentials is a very important part of that process.
Mr. Leary?
Through you to the superintendent, 2 quick questions. One, how many open teaching positions do we have right now?
Let me defer to Ms. Duggan, and she may not have this number at the tip of her fingertips. She's been working on filling them probably as opposed to counting.
It's a part B question too, is how many paraprofessional positions too, so it's really how many teachers and paraprofessionals?
I think approximately 30 open positions at this point in time. For paraprofessional positions, there are fewer than 30, but I don't have the number on the top of my brain.
That's no problem. And I guess you anticipate filling them within the next month or so?
This current compendium that just came out yesterday will be closing on July 5th. So after July 5th, interviews will take place at the schools, and more positions will be filled, and then we will start working on maternity leaves and illness leaves for next year, and leaves of absence, so.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Do we want to accept the report, the oral report from Mr. Lang? All
Motion
in
to
favor?
accept the report, Your Honor?
Seconded by Ms. Fattacani, seconded by Ms. Doherty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Convention and conference requests, they have none. Communications, professional personnel, and civil service, we have none, so.
Under new business, Your Honor, the budget issue?
Oh, I'm sorry, yep, you're right. Under new business, Madam Superintendent?
Yes, we had placed under new business the fiscal year '07 budget in anticipation that the City Council was going to be holding its budget hearing, which it did hold, and I'm not sure what committee members want to do at this point since the City Council postponed a decision.
Ms. Doherty?
If I could, Your Honor, I'd like to comment.
Sure.
On the status of our budget at this point. Okay, thank you. I take my position on this board very seriously, as do my colleagues. We each have our own particular style, focus, and strengths that we bring to this chamber, and that is a good thing, for it's the way democracy works. I've always been outspoken on school issues, and I was elected to continue to speak out and for what I believe is in the best interest of the school system and the children we are charged with educating. I also believe that what is in the best interest of our schools is in the best interest of our city, because the two are mutually dependent. One will not succeed without the other. For that reason, I'd like to reiterate comments I made on a local radio station this Monday, because I stand by those comments today, and because I believe there has been some misunderstanding based on hearsay and conjecture, and they definitively relate to the budget issue at hand. On the radio, I spoke in response to an article published in the local paper on June 13. I said that I was disappointed by certain reps' apparent unwillingness to fight harder on the Senate proposal, which is very important for Lowell schools. Not only is the additional money desperately needed, but the Senate changes to the Chapter 70 funding formula will have a far-reaching impact on public education. The changes to the funding formula in the Senate proposal are vital to Lowell schools because it takes into account a community's ability to pay as well as its property values and the needs of its students. Furthermore, I was responding to the tone of the article, which seemed to denigrate the work of this committee and coming up with a fiscally responsible, needs-based budget. As I said on the radio, I'm tired of the schools being used as a punching bag. Speaking of punching bags, I attended the city's budget hearing on Monday evening and was concerned when I heard certain counselors seem to indicate that a shortfall in state funding would require additional cuts to the school budget without regard for the needs of the school system or the children we're charged to educate. I then watched as hour by hour the council made minimal cuts to the city budget. During the hearing, I realized for the first time that even though the city budget was based, like ours was, on the higher Senate number, the difference on the city side was only $28,000. State funding for the city is going up about $3.7 million, regardless of whether the Senate or House number prevails. That doesn't even include increased revenues from last year's taxes. Still, they were reluctant to fund our budget and voted to delay the decision until Monday. In addition, I listened as the city's DPW department presented its budget for council review. While noting that there were many pressing school building maintenance issues, such as desperately needed roofs at the Riley and Bartlett schools, the DPW commissioner indicated that there was no additional money in his budget to fund these very important and necessary maintenance projects. I'm concerned about this issue. Our new buildings, many of them now are 15 years old or older. If we do not commit to maintaining those buildings, they're going to fall apart before us. Think about the roofs on your own houses. I mean, to let that investment fall apart without maintaining it is short-sighted and doesn't make sense. We've been told for years that the city cannot increase funding for the schools. We have to plead for more funds to restore what was lost in the devastating cuts of 2003, which we have not been able to restore, as you all know. Every year, we are told that higher taxes are because of the school department, even though the city's contribution to the education of its children is about $5 million less than it was in 1992. So if the taxes keep going up, but the contribution doesn't, I don't see how that can be blamed on the schools. Yet, when I look at the city budget, I see that many, many employees have received raises in excess of 15% over the last 2 years. It's not a question of whether they deserve the raises, but it's not clear to me how people can receive 8, 9, 10, and 12% raises in 2006 and then receive 5 and 6% raises in 2007, the same people. Especially in this fiscal climate, especially when our schools are doing without science and reading teachers, our students are walking to school on busy streets to save transportation dollars, and our system is struggling to continue to make progress in an ever-increasing climate of accountability with less resources. As I said earlier, I'm tired of the schools being the punching bag, and I'm not going to stand by and let that happen without a fight. Good schools are too important, not just to the children who go there, or the parents who belong to those children, or the people who work in those schools, but to everybody who lives and works and visits the city of Lowell. And I just wanted to end on that note. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Ms. Martin?
I'd like to make a motion that we defer accepting the budget until we receive the council finishes their deliberations.
I'll second that.
Motion by Ms. Martin, seconded by Ms. Fattacani. Roll call? To defer it.
Your Honor, excuse me, could I ask a question? I'm not sure what that means. Could you explain that?
Well, it just means that we can't take the final vote on our budget until we've gotten the word back from the council, so that when they conclude their budget hearings, then we can take our final step, is my understanding of the process.
Thank you.
Ms. Martin?
Yes.
Mr. McHugh? Mayor Martin? Ms. Doherty?
Yes.
Ms. Fattacante?
Yes?
Mr. Leahy?
Yes.
Mr. Larry?
Yes.
5 yeas, 2 absent. To defer, approved.
Thank you. So I think that's it on the agenda. We have motion
to adjourn, Your Honor.
by Ms. Fattacani, seconded by Ms. Martin. We'll adjourn for the night, and we'll recess for 5 minutes, followed by executive session. Thank you.
Good job, good job.
Do I stay up here for the executive session?